Hey guys, and welcome to day 7 in my countdown to the Walking Dead premiere. Today I am going to be ranking the premieres, seeing as we are counting down to the premiere. I figured we would talk a little bit about the premieres that we have had in the past. Just a little disclaimer, I am kind of congested today. So if you hear me sniffle or cough a little bit, I'm sorry. I'm going to try to cut all of that out, but we'll see how it goes. All right, let's get into it. So number 6 on the list out of these 6 premieres is 30 Days Without an Accident. It's a season 4 premiere, and I have told you guys already in other videos how much I really liked the dynamic between Rick and Clara in that episode. But I do think it's the weakest premiere in general. Not a whole lot happened. You know, we're kind of recovering from season 3 and dealing with the governor. And is the governor still out there? Is he not? You know, Michonne is searching for him. And but in general, the premiere, I feel like, was a lot more of setup for the sickness to come and just the season in general with everything with Clara. And though her performance was phenomenal, the rest of the episode I felt kind of left a little bit to be desired. So it's going to be, you know, not at the top of this list. Number 5 is the season 2 premiere, What Lies Ahead. Okay, so when I was thinking about this, it's definitely a good episode. It's definitely an exciting episode. I think, especially after season 1, they kind of started off season 2 with in a really great way. I think the whole kind of batch of walkers going through the highway and that whole attack was really kind of cool to watch. And kind of this episode kind of brought to the forefront the fact that there are, you know, children can be put in danger as well. You know, Sophia went missing, and at the end of the episode, Carl got shot. So I think that it was an exciting episode, but in general, there were better premieres, in my opinion. Even if the premieres are a little slower on the action side, I definitely think that this one doesn't really get to the top of the list just because of the fact that besides the highway walker attack, not a ton happened. And, you know, Sophia being missing, it ended on a shocking note of Carl getting shot. So that's kind of why it edged out the season 4 premiere for me. Number 4 on this list is The First Time Again. I really liked this premiere. There were a couple people who didn't, and I'm going to defend the black and white thing a little bit because I feel like there's a lot of people who really didn't like black and white, and they also just don't like flashbacks. But in a show, when people don't really change clothes and they kind of wear the same outfits all the time, and you're doing flashbacks and stuff, it would be kind of hard to really, you know, unless you were really paying attention, which I'm sure I would have. But I feel like for a casual viewer, it would have been very difficult to be able to tell, like, what was a flashback and what wasn't. So I don't hate on the black and white thing. I think I liked a lot of the moments when Morgan held Judith and kind of knowing the significance of that in episode 4. I thought the beginning of it was kind of intense. I loved the stuff between Abraham and Sasha in that episode and him seeming to kind of reach out and talk to her. I felt like there were a lot of great kind of more emotional moments in that episode that kind of just make it a little bit better of a premiere than maybe 2 or 4. Number 3 on the list is season 3, the season 3 premiere, and which is called Seed. I rewatched this episode a lot. I think that there are just some wonderful moments, and it just really sets up the whole prison storyline very beautifully. We've got them taking the prison, which is so epic. We have Herschel having to lose his leg But there's also an interesting dynamic within the group that's really kind of interesting to see. They've all really become a family at this point, every single one of them. They seem to rely on each other a lot. They seem to know their roles a lot in surviving. I just like seeing the whole group as more of a unit. And even though there's some tension, you know, between like Rick and Lori and some other things going on, I think in general, everybody's kind of really joined together in order to survive. And I liked the opening scene where things were really bleak and kind of horrible for everybody. And which is like a complete change of pace from them being on the farm in the last season. I just really thought that there was a certain amount of bitterness and a certain amount of grit and a certain amount of, you could see that the show was going to be taking a bit of a darker direction, and I loved it. Number 2 on this list is Days Gone By. I know a lot of people would put it as number 1, though I love it. The thing that I love so much about The Walking Dead is the fact that it's kind of a great cast. Yes, Andrew Lincoln is amazing, and I really wonder, I kind of would love to know what they made Andrew Lincoln do to audition and what scenes they made him play. Like, did they know that they were getting this good of an actor, or did they like just hit the jackpot? I'm not entirely sure. I don't think Days Gone By would have been pulled off as good as it was without Andrew Lincoln and Lenny James as well, in a sense. I think it's a great introduction to the show. I said this in the season 1 spotlight. There were a couple inconsistencies if you go back and watch it, but in general, it's a really great premiere episode in a lot of ways. I think, again, the reason it doesn't really snag the top spot for this list is because I love all the characters. I love when, you know, like I said about the season 3, like all of the characters kind of joining together, and it just, I don't know. In my opinion, I feel like the one I'm gonna say next is the best one. So number 1 on the list is season 5, No Sanctuary. This is just one of my favorite episodes, period, of the entire show. For so many reasons. I was more hyped up for the season 5 premiere than any of the premieres. It was the hardest wait for me, and I know that sounds crazy because this wait, you know, is because of a big cliffhanger. Though I think the season 4 finale was kind of a cliffhanger. It was kind of a different type of cliffhanger than this one, and I just. I was so excited to, I was among the people kind of figured that they were cannibals, of which they were. Reading the comics helped with that. But I was still so excited to see how they were going to get out of the situation, how they were going to defeat these cannibals and get out of that train car. But in general, so the anticipation is one of the things, but it delivered, in my opinion. I think that there were a couple things that, you know, were kind of convenient. The fact that the guy with the bat, like, you know, as he's swinging for Glenn, Gareth just happens to interrupt him so Glenn doesn't get his throat slit or anything like that. I mean, there's some things like that, but in general, it's such a crowd-pleasing premiere. Carol doing the damn thing. Tyrese had some wonderful moments with Martin and Judith in that little cottage cabin thing. I think Rick, some stellar moments from Rick, and just everybody fighting their way out was just amazing. It was a good bloodbath. There were just such... And it's funny because, you know, I think a lot of people like to put fans into categories, you know, fans that love more personal episodes, character development, and fans who love big action episodes. And I love both. I like the slower ones, and I like the kind of bigger scale fight ones too. But in my opinion, I just don't think anything really paid off like No Sanctuary did as the premiere episode. I hope season 7 will pay off as well in the same way, but I guess, you know, that's to be determined. So thank you guys so much for watching. Leave in the comments what your favorite premiere has been thus far, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.